Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing a review today of an album that I was about a year and a half plus late to. And it's this album, H.E.A.T 2 by the band H.E.A.T, H-E-A-T. And not going to talk about politics in this video, but I did discover it on one of their songs at the end of a Razor Fist political video that I watched recently, and that's why I actually checked them out. Do not agree with probably more than 40% of some of his political opinions, maybe 50% at times. I'm just pretty, I just watch a wide range of political commentators nowadays, you know, everybody from Stick, Sex, and Hammer, as people have already probably pointed out, to Jackson Hinkle was the complete opposite end of all that, pretty much. I mean, I guess it's a horseshoe theory at work. You know, the far left and the far right will still agree on many things. Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich, you know. But anyways, it's not about politics. This is about music, because I'm going to be doing a lot more reviews and stuff on this channel and trying to steer away from the politics for a while, probably, to some extent. So recently I saw a video of Pelosi officiating a wedding that was pretty hilarious, because they weren't doing certain things they're supposed to in San Francisco. But anyways, this I consider this album the lost 2020 album, because 2019 was a great year for me, and I discovered the band Beast in Black and their second album, and I listened to that a lot, you know, in 2019, especially driving to town that my ex lived in, one of my exes lived in, and I used to listen to the album all the time. It was pretty awesome, you know, and really got into that sound. So, but if this would have been the album that I heard early 2020, which it was released, I believe it was released in January or February, that would have been the alternate album or what am I trying to say? Like, if there was an alternate timeline in 2020, this would have been the album that I would have listened to all the time, because it's incredible. So the whole thing is just I really don't know how to quantify just like how good it is. I guess you would consider it, and what it is, it's kind of AOR hard rock metal mixed together. Different than Beast in Black. I'd say they would be a great band to tour together, these two bands, because their stuff is just infectious as Ebola, you know, airborne Ebola, like pretty much. Like I think I said that about Beast in Black. This band is so catchy, and I don't think I've heard a band this catchy in a long time, like since Beast in Black. But anyways, that's where the comparisons end, because they're both very 80s influenced, and they have keyboards and stuff. Now, this band has been around since like 2006, 2007, and I had never heard them. I heard of them, I believe, in passing a couple of times, but this Eric Gronwell is the singer, and he's Gronwell or something like that. I'm not a Swedish person, so I can't probably don't pronounce his name properly, but he has just a natural talent, and, you know, it's a perfect front man. I guess, you know, he won Swedish Idol a couple of times, and, you know, like their version of American Idol, and, you know, has the looks and the charm and the vibe and the energy of a rock star, you know, just natural. Like, he just was born like with this genetic disposition to be that way, or whatever, you know. It's just a weird thing to say, but, you know, it's like he woke up and he was a rock star. So he has a perfect voice, you know, very influenced by Sebastian Bach and Joy Tempest, and even Ronnie James Dio, I hear, you know, a little bit. It just kind of has this perfect voice. The album, the band in general has a modern production to some extent, but it's not annoyingly, overbearingly produced in this way that some of these, some radio rock or some crap, you hear like the auto-tune and the vocals, like you kind of hear it. The rest of the band does sound pretty modern, like as far as the production goes, but it's definitely rooted in the 80s bands. I've heard him compared to Whitesnake or Bon Jovi or Journey. It just has that kind of feel. And I would actually say it kind of reminds me a little bit of Darren Wharton's band Dare, which is a classic AOR band from the mid to late 80s, early 90s. Particularly their second album, because some of the songs have like this sort of, I don't know, it's sort of metal, but sort of hard rock. And Darren Wharton had a very Irish kind of Celtic feel to some of this stuff. And a few of the songs, what song was that? Adrenaline, some of that, the way the choir vocals come in. I really like choir vocals as evidenced by my obsession with Blind Guardian and stuff like that. So album starts with Rock Your Body. It's kind of like a almost could be like an unreleased late 80s Def Leppard song with a lot of less just like with the dry or Whitesnake song, even for that matter, like late 80s version of that, not the earlier blues stuff, but like has that bluesy thing to it, but then it kind of turns into this anthemic Barnstormer. Dangerous Ground is kind of a more metal song, more, it's like, you can think of Whitesnake too, in that, like the, Are You Ready to Rock off the 1987 album. Come Clean, probably my favorite song. It's not a ballad, but it has kind of a melancholy feel to it. And the concept, I almost wrote a song myself about that. Like, you go through all these relationships and then you think about one person, from the past over and over again, That's kind of one of those things. Like, I love the lyrics and the concept. Victory, which is the song on the Razor Fist video I saw. That is awesome. It's almost more power metal-ish because it has a kind of triumphant, like majestic feel to it. We Are Gods is kind of a slower, bluesier song, but with that anthemic chorus still. And Adrenaline, that was a song that grew on me. It reminds me of Foreigner or Lover Boy, or who else does it remind me of? Early 80s Rainbow a little bit. Just this vibe that it gives. It doesn't sound like that, but it kind of gives that vibe with the chorus and stuff. One by One, that's pretty good. Not as, it kind of has it dips in the middle a little bit. I like that one. Nothing to Say is a ballad, it's pretty good. Heaven Must Have Won of Angel, it's okay. And it kind of picks up again, Under the Gun and Rise, and then kind of has that anthemic, those songs have that anthemic feel. This sounds a little heavier than some of the previous stuff I've heard. It's a little more metal, a little more almost power metal or traditional metal influence in there, but absolutely the best album of 2020, which I didn't hear until a couple weeks ago again. And I just can't stop listening to it. I've listened to it I got the CD in the mail like 2 or 3 days ago, and I haven't stopped listening to it. Like, while driving or whatever, I went and picked up a new amplifier from about 2 hours away, and I listened to it about 5 times in the car. I'm just like, this is like the album that I didn't even hear until, a week or two ago. And I'm just like, this is just incredible. And I can't really put words to how catchy it is. It does sound kind of modern in a way. Like you can hear maybe this band, having a hit, on some kind of solid rock radio station or something, but like they'd be like known as like this 80s throwback in a way, but they're really not in a certain way. It's like they take a lot of what the 80s was about, with some of the keyboards actually remind me of like that the keyboard called the Yamaha DX7 has some of those similar tonalities. There's like mid to late 80s sound on keyboards, and they take it, but they sound sort of like timeless. Like it's not modern. And it's not retro, but it's like timeless, like this timeless anthemic feel to the songs. You can't get them out of your head, really. And there's no band member that really shines above the other. Everybody is about equal. They're all fantastic musicians. It's not prog, but it just has this energy to it that I haven't heard, since Beast in Black, because that's one of my favorite bands that came out the last couple of years. It's like I don't know. I would just listen to it all the way through, and like maybe listen to it twice, because once you listen, it's like some of these bands, it's like, oh my God, this is really good. And you listen to it the second time, you're like blown away even more. So it's like just one of the best bands I've heard in a long time. I can't stop listening to it. It's just it I don't know, it has this quality to it that is timeless. Like, you listen to Slippery When Wet, or whatever, what's the album, Slip of the Tongue or something like that, and you're like, yeah, this song could have been better than the other one. This song, this is filler, blah blah blah, right? But this album does not have any filler. Like I said, it has a little bit of a dip in the middle towards the end, but even those songs are still better than the worst, like, let's just say, like, the most filler Slaughter songs, the hair band Slaughter, like, on their albums, because this band just gets it right. It's just like they get it all correct. They like take out the weakest parts of these bands from the past. They just take those weak parts out and just put in strength after strength. It's just incredible, and it's hard to kind of explain how they do that. But like you'll listen to some of these albums from the late '80s or mid '80s to early '90s, AOR or hard rock or whatever. But it just has, like, it doesn't have those weak spots. I was listening to New Jersey one time, and I'm just like, there has like 5 good songs on it, and then there's like these like kind of half-ass songs, in the middle, and it's just like it doesn't work as a full album. But this band knows how to just do it like all the time. It's a perfect album, pretty much. I mean, like I said, there's bad songs towards the end that I don't like as much, but I still think they kick ass, like, compared to like any other band that has done this kind of stuff. Anyway, I tried to give Eclipse a chance, another Swedish AOR band, modern AOR band, and they left me dry pretty much. I mean, this was like what I was looking for, because I read a review on Blabbermouth of the new Eclipse album, and I bought it right away. I was like, oh my god, that sounds really good. But no, this is the real deal. Like, as far as I think, maybe Eclipse is better, like their older albums or something. I just didn't like their newest album. But yeah, it kicks ass. I mean, it's just the best. And I mean, it has kind of a triumphant feel to it. A lot of the lyrics are very, motivational. Just like, I thought I was listening to like one of the Rocky soundtracks. What was it? One by One. It was like, almost had like that feel to it. Like, it could be, if it didn't have the modern production, sort of modern production. Like, it is modern, but it's not like annoyingly modern, like some of the stuff you hear on the radio and stuff. Like, oh god, that sounds so triggered and so shitty. And they definitely use a lot of modern production on this, don't get me wrong, but I don't hear auto-tune unless they're using Melodyne or something like that. Like, the singer does actually have a little bit of strain on some of the vocals too, which just a little bit imperfection that makes it perfect, because back in the 80s they didn't have auto-tune and Melodyne and all this shit. So it's like you can actually hear a little bit of strain on some of the vocals. It's not completely perfect. It sounds pretty much perfect, but it's a perfect singer for this band, and it's too bad that he actually left. But they got the original singer, I guess. And you can look at his channel too, Eric Ronwell's YouTube channel. He does all these covers. He just did a Rainbow in the Dark. I heard Dio on here, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect. Like, there's a little bit of Dio in him too. So, perfect singer, perfect band. I mean, musicianship is excellent. The songwriting. My favorite song is probably Come Clean, like I said, followed by Victory and Dangerous Ground. Those 3 songs is really kicking the gear. And Rock Your Body, as much of a like Def Leppard-esque song as it is in a certain way, like, it's just done so well that I don't really like latter day Def Leppard. Like, what I mean by latter day is past the first 3 albums, but this is like if they actually took out all the bad parts of the Def Leppard, hysteria sound, and just put in the good stuff. A lot of Europe too. Honestly, obviously there's a lot of Europe in there too, but less like neoclassical influence than Europe in some ways. But it's just killer. So I guess that's my review. All right.